Good morning. It's Monday. So this morning, there's a feeling I've noticed. This is not my first time feeling it, but I thought it was a good example of how we underestimate what a strong organ your brain is. So every time I put my scrubs on in the morning, I immediately have this sensation that I'm missing something. Okay? I used to wear a fitness watch. I wore one for at least since 2016. I've worn some kind of fitness watch. Here's the thing. The watch that I have now, the battery started dying on it really quick, and so I've stopped wearing it altogether. I have not worn it in easily 2 months, probably more than that. And yet, still it's like a phantom sensation that something's missing, and I still have somewhat of a tan line, of a lighter, you probably can't see it. It's finally starting to even out, but I always would have a tan line there, a little bit of a tan line from the watch. Now that's a very simple thing, wearing a watch. Doing it, so I wore it not just during the day, but in the bed, and I only really took it off to shower and to charge it, and that's it. I even wore it to bed, like I said, to track my sleep and stuff. I know I don't look like somebody who'd wear a fitness watch. I haven't always looked this way. You can go back and look at some of my old videos. You don't have to do that. Don't do that, actually. Don't do that, actually. But nevertheless, my point is this. Something as simple as wearing a watch for that long, and months later, after stop wearing the watch, I still, and it's not when I'm sitting on the couch in my moo-moo after I first got up in the morning, I'm sitting there drinking my coffee, reading my Bible, whatever. It's after I've put on my scrubs. Because I always made sure to put my watch on before I left the house if I was charging it or whatever. My point is this. Your brain remembers. We are more than spiritual beings. Okay? We live in a physical body. And if my brain remembers the sensation of a watch on my left wrist, because I did it for so long that once I stopped doing it, months later, it still feels like I'm walking. I still feel that sensation on my wrist that I'm missing something. Months later. And we think that OCD can be undone overnight. Now, can God step in, snap his fingers, and it be gone? Yes. But I'm finding that that's not how it usually happens, and it's not for his inability, but more for what walking through it actually brings about. It's kind of like, well, God could have rescued Jesus from the cross. Matter of fact, Jesus was God, and Jesus could have called down angels, but he didn't. He suffered because there was redemption in the suffering. So we must understand that suffering is not always the end goal. The end goal is never suffering for suffering's sake. God can redeem, and blessings aren't simply monetarily. Blessings aren't always perfect health all the time. you know, again, the point I'm trying to make, excuse me, is that your brain is involved in this. And I'm not saying it's all in your body, it's all in your flesh. Throw out the spiritual aspect, because that wouldn't be wisdom either. But we can't throw out the physical side of it. You can't. That's unwise and unhealthy and lopsided and imbalanced. Okay? So a balanced, healthy approach is to consider both, is to bring both into the picture. And so this is why, even though religious OCD is a can be a physiological issue, the truth of the Word of God still can heal that mind. So, which is a spiritual component, right? But my point is this: if you've been dealing with OCD for years, you must first, obviously, to overcome OCD, is to understand you have OCD, and then understand how it works. But you don't have to understand everything to get healing if you use the tools given to you. But to expect for things to change suddenly, overnight, is unrealistic. And I know you don't want to hear that. I know you don't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that. But this is what you need to learn to do, one day at a time. Because here's the deal. Eventually, over time, the sensation that unless I start wearing a watch again, which I probably need to do, but unless I start wearing a watch again, that sensation will eventually be gone. And when it's gone, it's gone. Because my brain has formed new neural pathways. But it takes consistently not wearing the watch. Now, I can still wear it every now and then. That's not going to start the clock over again. So, consistency is key, but not perfection. This is not about perfection. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it consistently. Because some days you're going to fail. But do you get back up and keep going? And so you may fail for a few days. You may fall into the pit. But get up and keep going. I'm telling you, something as simple as wearing a watch for 8 years, and I still feel the sensation. When you begin to change the way you see things, it feels strange until all of a sudden, one day, it will click. You're not trying to force the click. You're just showing up consistently in that you are learning to trust the Lord. And one day, it'll click. But today is today. And don't worry about trying to waiting for the click. Don't worry about trying to force the click. Don't begin to spin about the thing that's outside of your control, that you have no idea when it's going to happen. It could be tomorrow. You don't know. So Jesus tells us, why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow's got worries of its own. Worry about today. So what you really need to focus on is today. Because tomorrow is not promised. And I don't say that to make you spin. But trust God today. Trust God. Don't look at the mountain. Just worry about the next step. makes me think of this clip from Facing the Giants that came out when I was like a teenager. It's a really good clip. If I remember it, I'll try to link it below in the description. But it's really good. It's really good. I really need to do that. But I want you to watch it. Okay? If you're still here, I want you to go watch it. Go watch it. And anyway, there is a physiological, you are a physical being. God designed our body certain ways. And if you've been thinking a certain way for a long time, it's just simply unrealistic to think that it's just going to snap. God is a God of processes as well as instants. To Joseph, the jump from the pit to from the prison to the palace appeared to be instant, but there was absolutely a process there. There was absolutely a process there. God was intentional about it all. So don't try to short circuit the process. Trust the one who's in control of the process. Okay? I hope this helped. Just a simple reminder to live today, trust God for today, and trust Him with the end results. And let go of any of your expectations. Because God rarely works within our expectations. Because He's wiser, He knows all things. To expect God to work within our expectations is really foolish. It's really foolish. It's immature and foolish. And it lacks true understanding that God is bigger and that He knows what He's doing and His wisdom far surpasses ours, and that He cares for you, so He does it in a way that will best benefit you. Okay? Have a good week. See you later. Love you, mean, bye.